Hi everyone, it's Scott Blumstein, Mr. Ramrod 2017, and I'm here with my friend Russell Johansson, Mr. Ramrod 1996. And we're going to talk about what it was like to be Mr. Ramrod and also pay homage to the Ramrod Bar, which is celebrating their 25th year. So you were the second Mr. Ramrod. Can you tell us what your year was like and what the responsibilities of Mr. Ramrod were back in the day?
Back in the day.
It's infancy.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was much easier back in those days because it was more of a bar title. We had the option of going to IML, but if you didn't, it didn't really matter. And it allowed me to become very familiar with a lot of people in the community. And while representing the bar, it also helped me with myself. I was a bartender at another bar, so I prospered from it as well and got to know a lot of people and had a really great time.
There's a really high regard for Mr. Ramrod because there aren't a lot of title holders in the state of Florida. There's Mr. Gay Days and there's the Florida Leather Sir and there's a couple of titles down in the Keys. But really, Mr. Ramrod is an elite kind of special thing, and people recognize it, and it means a lot when you're out and when you see people. And so why do you think that is? Why do you think that people have such a high regard for the Mr. Ramrod title and for the Ramrod Bar?
Well, that's just, it's something that it happens when any establishment is around for a very, very long time. And the Mr. Ramrod representatives, the contestant winners, have all been extremely active in the community all the time. And so I believe that intermixing with different people, back in the 90s, leather people and dance club people and cowboy people, yeah, they were all segregated. And Mr. Ramrod's jumped that line and started going and participating with all the different groups and kind of opened the door for other people to come in and experience something that they might never have experienced before.
When you go into the Ramrod, we have a wall. It's called the Hall of Fame. It has all the pictures of all the Mr. Ramrods from the first to the current, and there's a bunch of personalities, a lot of well-known people, Rich Rodriguez and Bill Hepner and Joey Brown and Kirk Rubin and David Richwine, and so it runs the gamut. And so what do you feel when you look at that Hall of Fame and you see all of those different personalities and all those different faces of the portraits of the Mr. Ramrods?
It's a really amazing experience, actually. I believe more for those of us that are part of the Ramrod contestants, because especially someone like me who's got to know all of them and in many cases judged for many of them. All of us are different,
right? And
all of us have different causes,
mm-hmm,
different reasons that we feel we want to bring to the community's attention and we want to help make better. And yet every one of us, if we were able to get into a room, would all be good friends, yeah, because we all represented the same place and we all experienced the whole year of doing that and what that's like. So we've got a lot of things in common while we may not be alike in personality.
Yeah. All different body types, all different personalities, it runs the gamut. And to put it in perspective, there's only been 24 men that have worn that sash for a year, and there's probably 100,000 leather men and women in the South Florida leather community, and so only 24 of us have had the pleasure of wearing that sash for a year. And you were my judge for the first time that I entered the Mr. Ramrod contest, and I was first runner-up. Do you get pleasure out of judging? Because I like judging.
Yeah, I do like judging. I like it a lot. It's nice to see the different people, and once a person has competed for any title, it doesn't even have to be Mr. Ramrod, there's an appreciation for what every person's going through at that moment, It's no different than a job interview. It really isn't.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So everybody's very nervous, and some of them not real sure what they're going to do.
And they don't know what to expect either if
Exactly.
they've never competed before.
Yeah, they don't know what to do. And a good judge, especially one that has the experience, can help calm down and make the atmosphere a whole lot better for all of the contestants so that they do better. My feeling and what I say to anyone who's considering it is to go into it to have fun.
Right.
Winning, of course, is a goal, but winning isn't everything, because every time you do it, you're learning more and more, and you're getting more exposure, and it's just a great thing to do.
Yeah. I always tell people when I coach them and when I judge them, you don't need a title. There can only be one winner, and we need leaders in the community. So even if you don't have a title, join clubs and volunteer and get involved in the community and help the winner, because you're part of that class and you all can do something together as a team. And I think that's important too. And so the 25th contest for Mr. Ramrod is coming up in October. There are a lot of people that come up to me and say, I'm entering the contest this year. And so what advice do you have as a Mr. Ramrod and as a judge for people in the community that are wanting or thinking about entering the contest that's coming up?
Well, today it's a whole lot more than it was when I did it, because how active all of the more recent Mr. Ramrods have been. Elimination just is incredible. I just can't say enough, and has mixed himself with every type of person that's in our community. I mean, if you take all of these letters, and there's too many for me to even repeat, but if you took them all, he's been at a function for all of them.
Right.
And so today it's not, for me at least, it wouldn't just be about getting a sash.
Yeah.
It would be about taking that and carrying it forward. And not only for the bar, but for the experience for themselves. Yeah. If they choose to go to IML, for me, that's still an independent choice. Most of them seem to want to today, but it's just such an incredible experience, and it makes it can't not make you a better person by doing it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of self-gratification that comes from it.
When I are you okay, Rand? When I was I lost my train of thought. But I lost my train of thought. When I was Mr. Ramrod, people would come up to me and they would say, when I was going to IML or MAL, they would tap me on the shoulder and say, I love the Ramrod bar, or that was the first leather bar that I ever went to, or I had a great experience, or friends have taken me there, or friends have gone and now I want to go. And so when I moved down here 25 years ago, there were 3 leather bars and there's only one left. And so what about Ramrod has given it the staying power to last 25 years? And what about it has made it so iconic, because it's known not only nationally but internationally as the premier leather bar?
There's a lot of things that are involved in that. Obviously, the owners, Zach and Steve, have a good mind for everything that's gone on, because without owners that can make that happen, I mean, 25 years in this city, that's quite a milestone as the only owners. There's no one here that has done it. So I commend them, and I'm proud of them for that. Also, they hired people that were all promoters. Way back in the early years, they told their bartenders that they wanted them to take on an event once a week or once a month. I think it was monthly at the time. And as the years grew, more and more people who were really great promoters have worked with them and are currently working with them. Yeah. And that helps to publicize the name, publicize the location, the location that they're in, having a lower overhead, that is huge in business. Yeah. And so that, of course, has helped. Um, and as far as being iconic worldwide, the longer you're open, the more tourists come here, the more people hear about it. I mean, pig dance itself, you know, with the number of them that there are and the people over the years that have been here, and then they go home and they tell people, and it just becomes bigger and bigger. And we do attract a global audience, which of course would help over 25 years to make it a very, very well-known name.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale is a destination city, not just for the leather community, but people go on cruises and they come here and then go out and shop and they go into the restaurants. And so Wilton Manors and just all the gay restaurants and the gay boutiques, that's a big draw for people when they come from maybe the Midwest and they don't have that. I always tell people to remind them, you know, Leatherworks and Ramrod and Stompers Boots, a lot of communities and cities around the country don't have their own leather bar. They may have a gay bar that has a leather night once a month. They may not have a leather store. Or they may not have a boot store. And so to really go and support those businesses that support the leather community, I always, you know, tell people that. Anything that you'd like to add about that? Because we have a thriving leather community, and a lot of communities may not have a strong leather community. They may only have a leather bar that has a gay bar that has a leather night once a month.
Yes, actually all the way back to my early years of bartending, I'll never forget people would come in, and they still do, but it's not quite as frequently, and I'd say they'd ask me where to go, and this would be at the Eagle. I was working at the Fort Lauderdale Eagle at the time. And my first question to them would be, well, what do you like? And the looks I would get out of their faces were amazing. Because they're like, well, what do you mean? What do we like? You know, because they don't have choices. They had one bar in their city, and it was whatever it was. They didn't have a choice. And a lot of them, you know, wanted to do something maybe more younger men or dance style or cowboy or whatever. And when I went over the list of options that we had, all the way back into the 90s, without the drive, they were astounded. They were just astounded.
Yeah, we're really fortunate.
And it was nice to be able to kind of be a tour guide for them and point them in the direction of what they wanted to see. And actually, because of that, I would win over customers, even though they didn't really particularly care for where I was. They'd come in to start their drink or end their drink and see me every visit. I still see them during season from time to time at different places. And so I came to South Florida from Central Florida because of the leather community, even back in '89. In Orlando, there was the Parliament House. There's pretty much still the Parliament House. And I love Orlando as a city, but I wanted to be with men. And I had a deep interest in the leather community, and that's why I chose to come down here.
And we're happy that you're here. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that Ramrod's been in the same location for 25 years. They've had the same owners for 25 years. A lot of the staff have been there for 15 and 25 or 21 years. I know John's been there 21 years, and Chad Bush has been there, I think, for 11. And we should pay homage to Chad Bush with his pig dance and his pig week, because it brings in a big draw of people into the South Florida leather community and also into the Ramrod bar. You're also the manager of Le Boy, and I want to do a plug for that as well. And your business has been there for how long?
Le Boy has been where it's at for, it'll be 5 years in January. The owner previously owned a bar called Johnny's on Broward Boulevard. Johnny's. So he's been in the business for about 15 years. But Le Boy itself has been there for almost 5.
And that whole area is having a rejuvenation with Milk Money opening up, and Cult, the clothing store, and so there's an artwork and redoing the streets and the sidewalks. And the thing that is unique to Le Boy is that there's a liquor store attached to the bar.
That's right. And it started off as just basically an experiment to see how many people would be interested. We figured that the most of the people that went to the bar would be our primary customers, and it's turned out to be an incredible business, all day and night.
Yeah, that's great.
And part of that is that we're conveniently located, but we're also open as late as the bar's open. So 2 in the morning, except for Friday, Saturday, and then it's 3 in the morning. And then we've got the other things that make a business really incredible, which are a friendly staff, good pricing, all of those things put together make it a really great place to go.
I think it's really important to have a friendly staff, because when I am traveling, people always say everyone is very friendly, or the Ramrod bar is very friendly. And I go back when I do EDC or I do Cigar Social, I tell stories to the customers, and I tell them what I hear when I'm traveling. And it's not because I was Mr. Ramrod or you were Mr. Ramrod. Like, it's because they always say the customers are so the customers are so friendly, and without customers, we wouldn't have a Ramrod bar. We wouldn't have a Mr. Ramrod contest. So I always try to say, it's because of you coming to the bar and supporting these events, the EDC and the Cigar Social and the Underground Invasion and Pig Dance and whatnot, that we're iconic. Because without customers, we wouldn't have a bar.
Oh, well, yes. Every business is that way.
Yeah.
It takes people to make something grow and to make it last. So with 20 some bars just a few minutes away up the drive, the thing that makes Ramrod so distinctively different, there are actually a lot of things, it's just the entire environment, which is why I actually like leather bars better than anything ever since I went into one. People are friendlier in general. Not only employees can be friendly at any bar, but the customers are much more friendly. The energy in a leather bar is unique to anything, in my opinion. And the music is different, which is a really nice thing. Is when you walk in and out of 10 or 15 bars right next to one another, and you're hearing a variation of the same thing with the same kind of videos, and just a little different architecture and design inside. It's boring. So the heat of the intensity of the people in the crowd and the warmth, and it's just really everything that makes it stand out from, in my opinion, anybody on the drive.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just wish all the former, or the people that are considering to do the contest, I wish them well. I look forward to finding out who they are and seeing what they can add to what's gone on for 24 years. They got a big step to fill. So it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah,
that contest is October 6th at 9 o'clock. The 25th anniversary is in September. Check out Ramrod. Check out Le Boy when you're in the South Florida leather community. I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm Scott Blumstein, Mr. Ramrod 2017. Russell Johansson, Mr. Ramrod 1996. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.